Hey gang, David Gupple, Thinker Farmer here. I'm here with a good friend, and it's been Billy Bond. You're from North Carolina. I feel like it's been 2 years since we talked.
It's
Pretty
been a
close
while.
to it. It's been a while, and we kind of serendipitously ran into each other at the Stockman Grass Farmer conference here at Polyface Farms in Swoop, Virginia. And a lot of you probably already know Billy Bond. He's the one who started PermaPastures Farm. And Billy, why don't you tell us some of your story and into ag and your background?
Oh, sure. It all started it really started on a planet called Krypton. And dude, I'm probably going to get crucified for that because I think Obama actually said that joke. Don't hold it against me. But no, I didn't start out in this. I wasn't a traditional farmer. My wife comes from generation in upstate New York, and they do it to this day. I came into it kicking and scratching, but long story short, it was when it finally took root is when I was asking very critical questions about the world around me as far as where our food comes from, how to do it, from a preparedness angle. Well, from that preparedness angle, most people in the preparedness almost never realize that the natural progression should lead to a farm if you plan on your resupply. Because if you put back 10 years, well, what are you doing year 11, So it began there, and then doing it out of a point of desperation, I guess you could say. And then ultimately, when I really realized that farming wasn't just sitting on the tractor as it was where I grew up in Oklahoma, when I realized that you could have this holistic involvement of everything around you, that brought me to permaculture. And I'm telling you what, David, when that took root, there wasn't no going back. And there isn't. I mean, there is nothing in this world I'd rather do with my life than what I'm doing right now. And being able to, and the best part about it is not just being able to do it, but to evangelize this magnificent design science we call permaculture.
That's a really bold statement to say. There's nothing else you'd rather be doing with your life, Billy, because there's a lot of things you can do here in America. So what do you enjoy so much about farming? How'd you pick that?
Well, the good thing is that I meet incredible young men like him. I mean, the truth of it is, we live in a country where we know the price of everything and the value of nothing.
Ouch.
And so many of us that live in this space, having grown up in that world, it's when I come out here where I know it's like we're on the aisle of misfit toys, because everybody out here is almost certainly marginalized in many of the communities they come from. Because most people don't understand these practices, they don't understand what we do, and then when you start doing these things, everybody around you just fundamentally thinks you're crazy. But it's not just the people that you meet within there. Despite most people thinking that I'm an extrovert, the truth is I'm an introvert by heart. I can spend days, weeks, months doing what I do, being in my own head, kind of like a thinker farmer I know of. And at the same time, also having the ability, when I'm able, in the right company, like a place like this, you would probably think that I'm an extrovert because I'm surrounded by other people that speak the same language. So it's a joy.
You just feel at home.
I do. I do.
I mean, there's the grass farming world here at the Stockman Grass Farmer. It's really a small community on the whole. There might be some people that come and go, but it's not in the vast scheme of over 300 million people in America. There's just not that many.
I dare say even in the world, but I mean, just where there are so many people trying to reinvent the wheel, the things that are happening here and in places like yours and mine, it's already innovative. And the best thing about it is, it's not like you have the same, it's not like there's no trailhead and you got to break forest as you go. All of these techniques right now are cutting edge. You and I are sitting over here learning from some of the world's best. I mean, I would have come this far just to see Darren Doherty alone. And to be in a place where I can cross-pollinate with these people, really not cross-pollinate, just get the download of whatever they're offering, is just one of a kind. But that's one of the big reasons why I love it and I stay in it. And I don't see myself, unless the Lord directs my steps another way, this is what I'll do until I'm not here.
I hear that, Billy. Well, what's your plan moving forward with farming right now? What would be your goals or end goals?
Sure. Well, part of that goal has to be bigger than me. It's there's a lot of us in this permaculture preparedness space that fundamentally think that we have to live a life of, well, we do intentionally live a low consumption life because one of our passions is that we are big into raising money to rescue kids that are caught up in some of the world's in child sex trafficking.
We're about giving, being givers in the world, not takers.
Well, for me to do that, it means I need to be at a point of abundance. It's pretty difficult to give.
Yeah, you can't give from an empty pot.
Exactly.
That's just reality.
So that's where it is. And people think that you can't make a living or you can't make a good living at farming. Well, maybe they're doing it the wrong way. Maybe they should try some different methods.
Right,
but
God's
honestly,
put a lot of abundance in there.
that's right. And part of this, the biggest part of it for me is knowing that I have to be abundant. If I'm going to rescue these kids, I got to be abundant, and I got to be really, really abundant to put out the money that's needed. So farming is a vehicle for me to be able to do that. The podcast is a vehicle for me to be able to do that. Speaking fees and all the other things that I do, it's all a vehicle because we do live a very low consumption lifestyle. But this lifestyle enables me to really go after. I say permaculture is my passion, but it really isn't. The bigger passion is rescuing these kids, and I can do it if I make a good living.
Wow. Yeah, so you're using your farming to touch other people's lives, and specifically those that are really in a heavily disadvantaged, had a tough deck of cards.
Yeah, right out of the gates. Right out of the gates. And then, the best part about it is I still live more abundantly than I ever did making piles of money doing the career I had before. That's the best part about it, is that I live more abundantly, there's not one aspect of my life that isn't light years better having been in this space. So, and then
it's
honestly,
more blessed to give than to receive.
Well, you know what else I'm able to do is that throughout the day, I know this isn't a question, but one of the big things that's big on my heart is I'm trying to memorize the entire book of Psalm. I know that sounds like a big.
Oh my word, that is.
And I'm like 8 chapters in, okay, but they're up here, and you know what? It's easier to do when I'm out here in my own thoughts, doing the kind of work you do right out here at Polyface. So to me, it's a joy.
Wow. Well, Billy, thank you for joining me to talk about your story.
Thank you for wanting to hear it.
No, absolutely. Gang, check this guy out if y'all don't already know him. He's way more famous than me on YouTube, and it's PermaPastures Farm. I think you Google that on YouTube, you'll find it. Check this guy out. And with that, gang, blessings for the journey, and keep it real.